Hi, my name is Lauren Gray. Welcome to Ask Lauren. Today's question is from Raina, and she writes, Hi Lauren, thank you so much for all that you do. I've learned so much. I'm so glad. My question is, what do you do if you're dating a narcissist? Or in my case, a series of narcissists. It seems like every relationship I start, it's all about what he wants to do or what he wants to talk about, which is usually himself. I know I deserve better. What's your advice when you're dating a narcissist? Hi Raina, great question. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to tell the difference between a man you want to spend your time with and a man you don't wanna waste your time with. Because at first glance, these two types can look exactly the same. They can look, smell, sound, and act like a narcissist. I hear this word floating around a lot. It seems like a slew of articles came out on the subject, and now everyone and their mother has suddenly turned into a diagnostic therapist. But is this really fair? Do we really know enough about that person to put that label on them? Aren't we all a little too quick on the draw with labels in general? Men are narcissists. Women are crazy. We're putting on labels when what we're really experiencing is that men tend to be more self-absorbed than women, and women tend to be more emotional than men. These are the symptoms we're diagnosing, right? I imagine you find it unjust, judgmental, and unfair when a man labels you crazy just because you have an emotional reaction to something he doesn't. Men and women's brains are different, and we react to various levels of stress differently. So your emotional response to stress isn't crazy, it's biology. Just as he's misunderstanding you, you may be misunderstanding him. With more insight, we can correctly interpret each other's behavior so that we can have compassion for one another, instead of flinging around pop psychology diagnoses. I say all this not to make you feel bad for using the word. We've all thrown a label or two around. I say this because before I can give you dating advice for when you're dating a narcissist, we have to define exactly what we're working with. Narcissism is defined as extreme selfishness. This is an actual disorder. But there's a difference between a narcissist and just being a dude. From a woman's perspective, men in general tend to look extremely selfish. But let's examine the source. Women have evolved to think about and consider other people's needs. We've spent thousands of years taking care of the children, working with other women in the village to make things run smooth and ensure the survival of the community. Yes, times have changed and men take care of the children now and women take on the jungle, but our brains haven't caught up to this shift. We've evolved to consider other people's needs to the extreme. These social and communication skills helped us survive as a species. As women, we take those intuitive skills for granted. So wherever a guy is at on the spectrum of selfishness, 1 average dude to 10 narcissistic disorder, it usually looks pretty extreme from a woman's point of view, based on her experience and how she sees the world. So if this is our lens, how do we tell if a guy is just an average dude or if he's a certifiable narcissist? At least now we're working with curiosity instead of assumptions. Now we can really get somewhere. But Lauren, he literally only talks about himself and he never asks me questions. I hear you. A man's selfishness often shows itself on a date when a man only talks about himself and doesn't ask the woman any questions. This is annoying. A woman's reaction ranges from bored to offended, and it certainly doesn't act as any kind of foreplay. I mean, no way is that guy getting lucky. The important thing to know is that just because he doesn't ask you questions doesn't mean he doesn't want to hear what you have to say. It just means that thinking of others is outside his comfort zone and intuitive skill set. And if you're pretty and interesting too, forget about it. He's less thinking and more just in survival mode, leaning on the tools he's used to. You scare him. Relationships, social skills, and communication scare him. So he falls back on what works for him in the workplace, his comfort zone. He talks himself up, he acts like an expert, and he takes charge of the meeting. Sound familiar? Look, this may make it sound hopeless, but it's not. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to bring out the man you want to date from the selfish man in front of you. This is how you can really diagnose if he's someone you want to be in a relationship with, or if he's a guy you don't want to be in a relationship with. That's all that matters. Let's leave the disorder diagnosis to the professionals. All we really need to know is, can you bring out another side of him or not? If you can, enjoy it. If you can't, move on. Here are 3 strategies to try on your next date. Strategy number 1, stop asking him questions. Don't worry about coming across as rude. Don't ask him questions and then get upset when he answers them in the best way he knows how. Strategy number 2, feel free to interrupt. I've seen women on dates looking across the table, nodding their heads, making eye contact, making noises, and showing every sign that they are interested in what the man has to say. Inside their heads, these women are thinking, he is going on and on. When is he gonna shut up? When is he gonna ask me a question? This guy is such a narcissist. You're giving the kind of attention you want to receive on the date, but that just throws gasoline on the fire. Now he thinks you're actually interested in his 6-month backpacking trip all over Asia. So stop nodding your head and encouraging behavior you don't want to encourage. Feel free to interrupt. Strategy number 3, TMI, aka too much information. So he didn't ask you a question. That's okay. You have a voice, right? You have something to say, right? So don't wait for a question to talk about what you want to talk about. You don't need a more explicit invitation than you already have. What's the invitation you already have? He's on a date with you. You're not walking up to a random stranger, interrupting them and talking about whatever the heck you want to talk about. He's on a date with you. That means he wants to be around you. He wants to get to know you, and he wants you to have a good time. TMI is often discouraged socially. Giving people too much information has a reputation for making people uncomfortable. But when it comes to men, it's one of my favorite tools in the she shed. Let me give you an example. He's talking about this amazing Thai food he made with this old Thai woman in a small village who is teaching him how to cook in exchange for doing some manual labor for her. He's explaining to you what lemongrass is as if you've never heard of it before, and you're about to stab yourself with a fork just to feel alive. Instead of stabbing yourself or him with a fork, interrupt and TMI. Find something within his story that relates to you in any way. For example, traveling, places you want to travel, places you've been, cooking classes, classes in education of any kind, hobbies, favorite ingredients, craziest food you ever had, random jobs you've had in your life. What sparks a genuine interest and passion in you? And then run with it. Let it take you to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Will he cringe at your selfishness? No! That's like worrying a fish will drown in water. He barely notices it. Besides, men love it when a woman lights up. When a woman is talking about something she loves, something she cares about, something she has an opinion about, something she's proud of, something that matters to her, it is so freaking sexy to a man. So let's go over our 3 strategies one more time. Strategy number 1, stop asking him questions. Strategy number 2, feel free to interrupt. Strategy number 3, TMI, aka too much information. Here's the thing about these 3 strategies. They call on you to step outside your comfort zone and act a little less accommodating and a little more selfish. That's how you bring out a more empathic and connecting side of him. And you're right, that's what you deserve. Read my blog to learn 2 examples of a TMI response so that you can see this strategy in action and apply it to your own personal interests. How to create a dialogue conversation so you're not just on a date with yourself. Why you're consistently attracting these types of guys into your life, and how to tell if he's someone worth spending time with. Did you like this video? Please use the social sharing buttons and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Ask Lauren. Fling it. You get a diagnosis. Everybody in the audience here gets a diagnosis. Did you like this video? Woo! We should totally date.
Yeah.
I totally second that notion.
All right.
Second that emotion. Hey, if you feel like giving me a lifetime of devotion, I second that emotion. Dun 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 dun. You're usually my percussion guy. I don't know how to do percussion. Oops. I talked before you pointed. I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. What's it called? Premature ejaculation?
Yeah.
At least now we're working with we gotta do that again. We're working. Work.